Welcome to the Strong, Single and Human podcast, a real look at single parenting, the ups and downs and how to navigate life with kids on your own while keeping sane. Covering subjects such as domestic violence through to fussy eaters and solo dating. I'm your host, Claire Martin. Welcome. Hi everyone, this week I have Nonie Pople from Small Steps with me. She is a Small Steps coordinator and has been with Hobart City Mission for 5 years. Small Steps provides a live-in parenting and life skills program for 11 young mums under the age of 25 and their babies. It provides 24/7 on-site care, and each mum can stay at Small Steps for up to 2 years. The mums are taught skills that can assist them in living independently in the community, such as budgeting, managing a stable tenancy, and providing a health and safety and safe environment for their children. Small Steps has been established since June 2014 and has provided assistance to over 40 mums, many of whom have moved on to independent living while successfully completing studies or being in employment. So hi, Nonie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Cool, fine, thanks. Look, thank you so much for spending the time out today to come and talk to me about Small Steps. Small Steps is also part of DIY Dads, and we've got another episode on DIY Dads as well. So look, thank you so much. What you guys do is fantastic and great for single mums and their babies. So cheers for that. Can you just give me a bit more detail? I mean, I gave a brief synopsis of what you do for these young mums, but can you give me a brief synopsis, give me a little bit more information about what Small Steps actually does for these guys?
Yeah, so Small Steps is it's a one-of-a-kind program, really. So as you said, we have young mums up to the age of 25 and children up to the age of 5. And I guess what makes the program unique is that we do have that on-site support, as you mentioned. So I'm obviously here during the day, but then after hours, we've got a live-in volunteer caretaker who's also there for after hours.
Oh, okay.
Matters. Yeah. And I'm also on call should anything urgent arise. So there is that 24-hour wraparound support, and the girls can stay for up to 2 years as well, which is really good. So it takes away that initial housing crisis or where are we going to stay tonight, and we can really get into the nuts and bolts of other supports that they need and, work towards those goals.
Yeah, no, exactly, because you just don't give them accommodation, do you? You actually you provide them with loads of other things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We do pretty much my role, I suppose, with the participants in the program is case management, but we do goal setting and things like that, as far as, that could be health goals, it could be further education, it could be life skills, which is a separate program within the program. So the life skills program is things that you touched on before, like budgeting, cooking, maintaining a tenancy, might be getting their driver's license, skills that they'll need for when they do move on to independent living with their children.
Yeah, that's because I suppose being under 25, there are things like that. One, they may have never been taught to cook. 2, they might not be able to drive because they're under 25 and may not have had that opportunity. So, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, no, that's a lot of things that is good for getting them out in the community. And how did these mums come to you? Where do they come from as such? What's their backgrounds?
Yeah, so usually they are referred. They can either self-refer, which we are getting a lot more of now that the program's been running for, such a period of time now. A lot of them are self-referring. They're hearing from friends or family or, usually somebody knows somebody. So that's really good. But otherwise they can be referred by any of their formal support networks. And as far as where they come from, it really is a mixed bunch. There are lots of different challenges that young mums face, and depending on, you know, which challenges they're working on can depend on how they come to be referred. But a lot of the time it may be that they don't have a lot of family support, that they may have been couch surfing for a while as a young teen themselves, and then they find themselves pregnant. So, you know, then there's that additional complication of, well, I need stable housing to, you know, ensure that I don't have other agencies raising concerns, people such as child safety and, you know, family law courts, things like that. So,
And do a lot of these young mums and their kids, are they involved with the fathers, or do you find that sometimes they've got pregnant and then, you know, the fathers have said, oh, wow, okay, no, I don't want anything to do with you or whatever? How is it that situation as well?
Yeah, there's a real mix. I wouldn't say there's more one versus the other as far as the father's involvement. They're definitely, particularly if they come in and they're pregnant, quite often, you know, dads might not be really on board. It may have been a brief relationship. Not something that any of them were expecting to end in a pregnancy or a child. Or it could just be that, you know, quite often they are quite young. We've got quite a few at the moment that are at that younger end, so they're sort of 16 and 17. And quite often for dad, it's not as real as it is for us when, you know, women are pregnant and we can feel our babies moving, and we start to accept it and make those changes a lot earlier than the men sometimes do. So often it's not until a baby is sort of put in front of them and it's like, oh, okay, we had a baby. They can take
I can understand that, because the babies grow like you know, not to tar anyone, you know, with the same, but mums have a baby growing in them, so it's a little bit real when your belly starts getting bigger and your back starts aching and you start craving food or throwing up or whatever. Whereas, you know, the guys, and I'm sure they're grateful for not having to give birth, but the guys you know, are a little bit on the periphery, I suppose, when it comes to the realization of, crikey, we've made a baby.
Absolutely. It's just not quite as real, I think, for them, particularly if they come in and they're still at the pregnant stage. But also another main reason for referring is quite often relationship breakdowns. So they may have been all living together, and then the relationship is broken down, and that's then left the young mum and, you know, the child as well at risk of homelessness. And at the moment, Tasmania, along with a lot of other places, is really struggling with the rental crisis. Housing is a huge issue at the moment, and so it's pushing people that, you know, normally wouldn't be at risk of homelessness because of those relationship breakdowns, you know, financial stress, all of that.
And is that why you set the limit of like 25 and under? Because I can imagine being at that age, pregnant. Finding a rental property is hard enough when you're a single mum and you're over the age of 25, but to be under the age of 25 or around 16, 17, no rental record, you know, no rental evidence as such, and you're going out there and saying, well, I'm a single mum and I'm pregnant and I'd like to rent a house, please. I'm sure they're not the top of the list when it comes to things like that.
No.
You know, I mean, our rental markets in Australia and Tasmania are like, you know, insane anyway, with like 10 or 12 couples, let alone single people looking at accommodation. So, Yeah,
they definitely are on the back foot. And as far as the age cutoff goes, I imagine, I wasn't here initially when the program started, but I imagine it would have been, you know, quite a difficult thing to make a decision on. But I guess it came down to what the need was in the local community at the time, but also the information we were getting from other agencies, such as a big one, I suppose, would have been child safety, as far as, you know, them becoming involved in cases where perhaps really the only issue was housing. There may not have been any other concerns, and, you know, these girls often don't have that additional family support, so they really need more than just formal support. Sometimes it is the life skills. It's learning how to cook and how do I prepare solids for my baby now that they've reached the age where they can have food, and, you know, some of those things that I guess we take for granted if we're, you know, living in a family unit or with extended family. We're learning these things as we go.
Well, and I suppose if you're 16, 17, even 18, 19, you're like, and look, and my mum had me when I was 19, when she was 19, not when I was 19, otherwise I'd have been a big baby. But no, my mum had me when she was 19, and look, at the end of the day, at 19, you're not really thinking about, well, at what age do I feed my child this, and at what age do they need solids, and, well, how do I do this, and how do I mean, when I had my son, and I was in my 40s, so that says a lot, but like I still didn't have a clue about any like breastfeeding and solids and all of that stuff. And I mean, thank God for Google, but, you know, I can imagine it can be a bit daunting for these guys.
Absolutely. You've really honed in on something there, and that is that really no matter what age you are, when you become a mum for the first time, nobody is born knowing how to be a mum. We all have to learn it. It's just sometimes that when we're a bit older, we have more ability to be able to seek the information that we're looking for, or we know where to go to ask. Whereas, you know, quite often when you're a young mum, you may not have that, and you feel very disconnected because quite often, you know, you lose friends and sometimes even family.
Yeah.
So your support network can actually decrease rather than increase at times like that.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask. You know, I mean, like obviously we've covered off like the hurdles that they would actually sort of have of the accommodation and things like that. You know, so like, you know, getting accommodation at such a young age, like under 25, could be an issue. You know, the impacts of sudden like, ta-da, we've got a baby and now we need to look after it, and you know, that sort of impact. But like, what other things do these guys, you know, these young mums have to face, and then like, how do you guys help them overcome it as such?
Yeah, well, there are quite a few hurdles that young mums face, and I think a big one is, one we touched on, such as the isolation. So often becoming disconnected from friends, and, you know, even education if they're still at school or at college. That's a big one. Lack of support from family, financial stress, the homeless, you know, being at risk of homelessness, and also the fear of other agencies such as child safety or the family law courts is a huge one for them, because they, you know, as you said, how do you secure accommodation when you don't have the rental history? You are young, you're probably not working if you're pregnant or you have a young person, and then you've also got this added stress of, oh, well, if you don't have stable housing, you know, we are you know, we're watching you and we're quite worried about it. And then you've got this fear of your child then going into the foster care system. So that is a really big one for the girls, and quite often it may be the only contributing factor, the only reason that an agency like that may be involved, and that's really tough and really unfair. But it is another hurdle that they're facing.
So when you say it's a living parenting program, right, do the girls actually, do they each have a self-contained unit, or are they in a do they each have their own rooms with their babies, and then they're like in a communal housed environment? How is it set up?
Yeah, so it is a unit complex. So my office is located on site as well, but they are conjoined units. So each mum has their own 1-bedroom unit. We do have 1 2-bedroom, but that's kept for mothers that might be expecting their second child or have 2 children. And that's usually in high demand as well. But otherwise, all the units are sort of set out as a 2-story complex, and then there's shared spaces. So although they have their own kitchen and bathroom, you know, they cook and clean for themselves, the only thing they have to share is a laundry. But then they're sort of conjoined by these shared spaces. We have a lovely, beautiful courtyard, outside play area for the kids, and then we've got an indoor play room that's set up where we have play group, and, you know, we do arts and craft. And then we've also got an upstairs more like a big lounge room. I guess it's like an extension of a lounge room, like a chill out zone if they want to get together, and they can use that after hours as well. So it just gives them opportunity to catch up, not always in their own spaces as well, because sometimes that social anxiety is a pretty big thing for these girls, and they may not always know how to politely say to somebody, well, I'm going to put Bub to bed now, could you please?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and look, it's great because, like, I know being a single mum, like a lot of single mums out there, and dads, and maybe even more so with dads, because at least with the single mum community, we have, mothers groups that, we first get involved in when we first have the children and stuff. But like, it's when you're a single parent, it's very isolating. And even if you're involved in daycares and school and various different things like that, you still can feel isolated, because if there's a lot of other parents who are coupled up and they don't invite you out, and because you're the single parent, the oddball, because you don't have a partner or whatever, sometimes that can happen. I haven't ever had it happen to me, but there are certain situations where that can actually sort of happen. So I suppose having these guys having communal areas but also having their own areas sort of helps them with their not feeling as though they're on their own, I suppose.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that often comes up when, people are coming for a look around and they're in that referral stage, is a lot of the time they haven't lived by themselves independently. Even if they've been out of home as a teen, they've lived with friends or family, they've couch surfed at other people's houses. So the way that Small Steps is set up, it's a really great environment. It's a good sort of middleman, I suppose, from living with other people to living completely in your own accommodation, because although you have your own unit and you can choose when you want to engage and socialise with other people, you've still got your own space, but you can still hear other people around you. There's still people there 24 hours a day if you just feel like a chat, or if something comes up and it can't wait till the morning. So it's a good in-between, I think. It's a good lead into living completely independently, perhaps in a suburb you've not lived before, without support around you.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And do you get, like, because I know the girls are there with the babies and they're all in their own environment, but do you then get, like, the grandparents come and visit them, see how they're doing? Is that sort of encouraged?
Yeah, the girls are allowed to have visitors on site. We have visiting hours, so we don't have visitors there sort of an evening or overnight, male or female visitors, but we do encourage them to have the people that they want and that they feel are supportive of them in their environment as well. So we would strongly encourage that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. So what made you get involved? You've been with Hobart City Mission for like 5 years almost now. So, like, how come you got involved then with such an awesome cause?
Yeah, well, I guess I was I'm really lucky in the fact that really this is my dream job. So I was a young mum myself. I was 17 when I had my eldest.
Right. Blimey.
Who's now 19. So I've managed to keep him alive to adulthood. God love you. Because, absolutely. I'm still waiting on the medal to arrive.
Well, I think you'll be waiting a long time. My mum was 19 and had me, and she's like 60 odd now and not had the medal. So
I won't hold my breath.
Yeah, no, don't.
But I guess for me, I'd previously worked in the community service sector with children and foster carers in the out-of-home care sector, and then took a break from that to be with my children who I had that were still quite young, and the demand of work and home life was a bit difficult. So I then did family daycare for a few years, but always had the intention of coming back into that sector at some point. But I'd always had this, it's just weird because I'd always had this, if I won Tats Lotto, what would you do, as everybody does?
Yeah.
And to me, it would be to have a smaller version of what Small Steps ends up being. So it would be to purchase a large house or property and have shared areas, and then each of the participants would have their own room, but they would come in hopefully when they were pregnant and learn the skills that they need to learn before their baby comes along. When I first came into the community services sector, I was really gobsmacked, I suppose, to learn that if you were a child in the system yourself that became pregnant as a teenager or a young adult, automatically that put a bit of a flag, I suppose, on your name. And I could see that this was happening, but there wasn't any early intervention. So it was sort of like they'd sit in the background, and then baby would be born, and those conversations would be had, and the child would often go into foster care. Whereas I felt if we could capture them earlier, that would be great. And I felt that it was just really unjust that I could have my baby at 17, but if I had have grown up in the system and I was pregnant at 17, my rights to my child may have been very different.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And look, at the end of the day, just because you grew up in the system, it doesn't mean to say that you don't have, every right to look after your child as such. Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
And really, my view is, rightly or wrongly, and here we go, this is where I get lots of mail coming through, but that the system is therefore failing if this is the case, and we're flagging people. We should be helping people that are in the system and actually, assisting them in being better educated and better equipped, so that, when they do get to the age where they are having children, that they aren't flagged, because it isn't an issue, because we've helped them.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And I just felt like we've got this sort of 9-10 month period of pregnancy. What a perfect opportunity to be starting that early intervention that was getting missed. So then when I heard through a colleague I'd used to work with that Hobart City Mission were starting this program, and she said to me, it's your dream, Tatslotto dream on a bigger scale. And I thought, that's great. And then the coordinator who began with the program went on maternity leave. So I covered maternity leave. And then, I've hung around since. So I'm really lucky, because I've never really worked a day in my life.
See, although you say I've never worked a day in my life, see, you are working, but you're doing such a good job. That's the thing. You just love what you're doing. So that's the ideal position, isn't it, really?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very blessed. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, wow, I can't believe, and I'm sure there are, and maybe I've missed them online or whatever, but I can't believe that you guys have started this in Tasmania and we don't have anything. And maybe we do. So please write into me and tell me that we don't have anything like this in Australia as such for young mums and young dads, as far as I'm aware anyway, but maybe I'm wrong there, to, help them. So, hey, you've heard it here first. If I win Tatslotto and I'm in Melbourne, I'll set one of these up in Victoria and I'll speak to you guys and get you to help me.
Sounds amazing.
I did win $10 on Tatslotto last week, but I think I'm going to need to win a bit more to set one of these up. But,
quite possibly.
But that's fine. No, because I think what you guys are doing, both with the DIY dads and small steps, is just awesome and so good to give these guys a helping hand. It's brilliant. So look, on that note then, do you have any, you guys have helped over 40 mums, okay, move on, become successful mums and, go out into the community and, work, study and become successful in their lives and for their children, to enable them to support their children. So have you got anything off the top of your head that you've seen happen to a mum or something that's come from a situation that's not been favorable to, and you guys have helped her and then she's come out the other side and kicked goals, for want of a better word?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're really lucky in that we see outcomes quite regularly, and those outcomes look different with every participant and they're measured differently. Some people would say that, one of our best outcomes would be a young mum in furthering her education and enrolling in courses. And certainly we've had that. We've had young mums that have began study at university or TAFE, or
wow.
We had one young mum that studied to be a babies and children swim instructor, and she's now been working at a pool for 2 years now. And those are absolutely great outcomes. Or staying connected in school, that's a huge one. Having the school on board and being able to take child with you or baby with you, and for mums to stay connected in education when a baby is born is huge, and that's a wonderful outcome. But then, other people would say things like, when we've had, often agencies such as Child Safety will use small steps to support reunification. So that's where children are in the foster care system, they've been removed, and they're wanting to reunify them with their parent, so with the mother. So we've successfully supported a number of young mums to do that, and I mean, that's massive, because then you've got these mother and child that have been reunified that otherwise, without that support, may not have been able to do that. And that's because we are unique and we do have that 24-hour support.
No, definitely.
But we've had people that have been told that, their children are going to be removed, and they come into the program when they're pregnant. We start, case management and documenting things, setting goals, and their children remain in their care. So they are also really, really huge outcomes.
Because it must be really stressful to be told, right, well, I know you're pregnant, but we're going to take your child away, and for you guys to come in and then say, no, we're going to help you and we'll help you to keep your child, which is just awesome. Such a great outcome for mum and bub and dad.
So it's always lovely to have, particularly when we have past residents pop in and, share their exciting news. It might be, they've got their driver's license, or they've finished their study, or we've got one of our earlier participants who's finished her degree in social work, which seems to be a common theme with them, which is, I think, great, because I've got lived experience. And about to do her master's. So that's, that's also awesome. Really huge for her. But outcomes, I think, are measured differently for each participant. So
no, that's fair. So look, are you guys solely funded by contributions? How do you guys keep going? Because obviously you aren't charging the mums to stay at the unit, or are you? I don't know.
Well, we don't receive any government funding, and which does make things difficult financially. However, it does also come with some benefits, as far as, we can set the outcomes, we can set age limits, and we can allow people to stay longer if they need to, or have them come in if they're just a little under or just a bit over the age range, if we're happy to support that. But mainly the program is funded through generous donations from the public in our local community, and then also funds that are raised in our op shops. The Hobart City Mission op shops help to fund the program. But we're really lucky like that the community has rallied around the program, and as it's become more widely known, people just love to get involved. We've got people that will ring and say, what do you need? And I might say, oh, look, we don't have any sheets, or we really just need some nappies or something like that, and within a few days we've got them. So we're really lucky that the local community here in Tassie and even interstate are very generous and really supportive of the program.
No, and it's hats off to people like that come on board and just help you guys out. Do you have like fundraising events as well?
We do at different times. We run so fundraising drives, but also one of the events that we usually have annually is the Great Southern Pram Push. So that's done differently depending on the year and the theme, but it's about getting the local community together and involved in raising funds for small steps. And so we do different requests, I suppose, at different times of the year when we need. No,
that's awesome. That's great. And so, like, why do you think that this program is so important? Why do you think the work needs to continue that you're doing?
Yeah, look, I think the uniqueness of the program is what makes it so special. We're pretty much always at capacity and always have a huge waiting list. I'm constantly processing referrals, and we have had, some people come from interstate at times to look at the program and look at setting something up locally. As far as we're aware, it hasn't eventuated yet, but the hopes is that, we can always inspire other organisations or people to do that, definitely, because the need is huge. But I think what makes it so unique is that 24-hour support. So we can take on clients that are out of the box or that may not fit into, criteria of other places. And we've got after hours support as well. So, as we know, crisis doesn't just happen between 9 and 5. Often it's late at night or middle of the night, especially with a little one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was going to say, do you help mums with because I know, oh my gosh, the amount of pictures of poo that I took when my son was between the ages of 0 and 12 months to go, oh, is this the right colour poo? And comparing it on Google to and rashes on his body and things like that. So do you, I mean, and I'm sure the mums, if there's mums that have older children, they help out the ones that have just got the younger ones as such. But do you actually help them out with the terrifying things at 2 a.m. in the morning where you go, oh, he's come out or she's come out in a rash, and I don't know, should I be going to the hospital? And is that, you just give the support around those things as well? His poo's bright green. Do I do something about that, or yeah?
Absolutely, and that's about building them up as well, I suppose, and that constant balance of trying to empower them, not enable them. So really wanting them to be able to move on and be really independent, and to know when that happens in the middle of the night, well, who do I ring because there's no Nonie there to call, or there's no caretaker to pop down to. So it's about supporting them to find the solution. But absolutely, initially in the beginning, those middle of the night things could be things, as you've mentioned, medical things with the child, or it could be they've had a big argument on the phone with a family member or a partner, and they need emotional support, or mental health. Mental health is a common struggle as well for our young mums. So it could be
for any mum.
Yeah,
I've got to say, for any mum. I mean, do you know what? I never experienced, I've learned patience. I thought I was a patient person, but I definitely have learned patience, and I definitely know what buttons I've got. Let me just put it that way. So, and I'm an old lady now. So, it's, I'm not that old, but I feel old, especially some mornings when Oscar, my son's been up at 4 a.m. in the morning. But I completely, I love what you say. It's about empowering these guys. It's not about enabling them or giving them so much support that, when they're not in small steps, they don't know what they're doing, and they're oh my God. It's about empowering them and helping them so that when they do leave, they are able to stand on their own 2 feet, and they are able to feel confident enough to say, well, I do know what I need to do, and that is go to hospital, or it's just green poo because he's had a rainbow lolly or whatever. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want them to know where to go and to feel connected in whichever community they land in when they leave here. We want them to know where to go to find what they
that's
need.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's fair enough. So look, okay, so the community funds you basically, and we, thank you for telling us about Small Steps, because that's awesome. But if people listening to this want to help out or have an epiphany or have won the lotto and want to actually establish and set one of these up and make all of us happy and some other 11 mums happy with their bubs as well, how do these guys support you guys, or how do they connect with you to obviously then set up their own place? I'm hinting very heavily here, listeners. So set up your own place to actually then help young mums and their bubs like Small Steps are doing.
Absolutely. Well, the best thing would be to jump on the Hobart City Mission website, and you can find information on, a range of all our different programs there, and Small Steps included. You can make a donation directly, and you can specify that you'd really like that to go to Small Steps, and that'll be allocated to Small Steps. Or you can get in touch with us during business hours, particularly if you're keen to set up a program, a sister program.
We keep hearing. We keep hearing, don't we?
Look, we really are an open book, and as I said, we have been approached before, and we've been really open in sharing, I guess, the model for Small Steps, but also the way we document things and having people walk alongside us, because we're really just about supporting young mums in general, and they're not just specific to Tasmania. So no, definitely. So come on, Australia, get out there and set up some Small Steps too. No, look, that's awesome, that's brilliant. Look, thank you for that. And look, I'll put all the blurb on the podcast notes, and I'll also do it on the YouTube channel, so it's all good. You'll have all the links there, and all the additional information. If you did want to know what the website is, if you can write it down and you don't want to actually look on the links, it's hobartcitymission.org.au/small steps, and that should take you through to the Small Steps website, and we can go from there. So look, thank you so much for coming on board and talking to me today. I've just got one final question to ask, and I ask it to everyone. What would your one superpower be if you could grab one? Oh, a superpower. That's a good question. Just off the top of my head, I would probably say to be able to teleport somewhere. I feel like so much more could be done if we didn't have to waste time, driving to and from places in traffic, or, if you could just teleport to where somebody is, that would be wonderful. And then it wouldn't matter.
And think about
they didn't answer their phone, or if, airplanes weren't running, we could just, COVID wouldn't be so much of a thing. It'd be nice.
No, that's right. And just think, you could teleport to Mars.
Well, absolutely.
Maybe you could set Small Steps on Mars.
Look, it's endless, isn't it, really, what you could
So you could go to the moon, because it's a teleporter.
Absolutely.
So you could go wherever you wanted.
Absolutely, that would be lovely.
Fantastic. I'm loving that. You could teleport back in time, get the lotto numbers, teleport back to here. Absolutely. Give me and you the lotto numbers. We could win the money. We could set up more Small Steps. Happy days.
Absolutely. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah,
problem solved.
I'm probably a bit more dodgier than I thought, so it's all good. I'm sure that's illegal, going back in time, and I'm sure there'll be some law about it, but I don't know. No, but it's all good. No
doubt. But we'd just be able to teleport out of prison, so it wouldn't be an issue.
That's true. And if we teleported to Mars and we'd got 80 million, that's okay. Eat your heart out. Oh my gosh, we're going into a whole different avenue here. This is a whole different podcast. No, that's cool. Look, thank you ever so much. Thank you. You're all doing a brilliant job down there in Tasmania. Let's hope that some of us on the mainland, I keep calling it the mainland, I'm not sure it's the right thing to call it, but anyway, some of us here in Australia can actually help you guys out by either donating or, again, I'm going to say it again, setting up our own Small Steps to help some mums and bubs on this side of the water. But look, thank you so much for coming on board. It's been brilliant speaking to you. Love it. No, all good. Okay, all right. Speak to you later.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to hear more, please hit subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. If you'd like to support us further, share this episode with your friends and family on all the usual social media platforms that you're normally on. And finally, drop us a review on iTunes, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and ideas. It all helps me to understand and produce awesome content that I know you're going to want to hear. like this. If you want to check out past episodes, write to us, appear on the podcast, or for links, resources, and show notes, go to our website, www.strongsingleandhuman.com. We are also on all the usual social media platforms, Insta, Facey, and Twitter. Have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Be kind to yourself, and remember, no one's perfect, and we're all just putting one foot in front of the other and doing our best. I'm Claire Martin, and you've been listening to the Strong, Single and Human podcast.